It's time for another Three Houses banner, but this time instead of focusing on the students, we're getting some of the faculty and staff from the church. For the Goddess's Servants banner, we have Seteth, Flayn, Catherine, and Shamir. We'll be looking at everyone's stats, skills, and talk about potential builds and playstyles for each of them. For this new Heroes banner, Seteth is going to be our 4-star focus unit, which means he will be demoted and added to the 3 to 4-star pool after the banner is over. We also have the 40 Summon Spark mechanic, and don't forget to use those first summon tickets from Forging Bonds if you're just looking to hit that minimum orb count. As the unit Seteth is a Lance Flyer, and he has 44 HP, 36 attack, 36 speed, 32 defense, and 24 resistance. He pretty much is the next Cordelia for this new BST generation, and that's a good group anyone would want to be in, especially for a super saturated group such as the Lance Flyers. 36 attack and speed is about as good as it gets for a demoted unit, and his HP, defense, and res are also all in a good spot. Seteth will be quite flexible if you want to get creative with his build, and he'll be a decent merge project if you like him. For old skill, Seteth's going to have swap, brazen tag, and speed, and drive attack too. Nothing really crazy, but Seteth is bringing brazen tag and speed into the low rarity summoning pool. I think it is his 4-star skill as well. While lots of Lance Flyers get added each year, not all of them get a unique weapon, and Seteth got lucky to keep his Spear of Assal despite being a demoted unit. This 16-mite Lance also grants +3 speed, so Seteth naturally has 39 speed by default. If he is within 2 spaces of an ally, he then gets another +4 attack and speed and neutralizes the foe's attack and speed field buffs. Spear of Assal additionally grants +4 attack and speed to all allies within 2 spaces during combat. Now this is quite the weapon. We are sort of combining this year's Spring Inheritable weapons with the Pirate Banner weapons. Spear of Assal requires nearby allies to activate, and then it's going to grant bonus attack and speed, plus it then takes the low attack and speed buff neutralization effect. This means not only does Seteth get +7 speed just from this weapon alone, but he also stops enemy speed buffs, which is a really good perk to have. He'll take less damage if they have attack buffs as well, so Seteth is going to fight those attack and speed stackers on a more even playing field. Now on the other side of things, Spear of Assal is also a support weapon. It just grants a gold everyone effect with +4 attack and speed within 2 spaces, and that is a very nice ability. Seteth can easily combine this with any of the Flyer Emblem buffs for massive stat stacking, or you can use the new Joint Drive buffs or any combination of buffing C skills and Sacred Seals. Very versatile weapon, and it only increases the number of build options you can choose from. Speaking of builds, things are slightly awkward, but that's only because Spear of Assal requires nearby allies while it grants attack and speed advantages, which are usually fitted more on your offensive units. Seteth can be built offensively, but if he moves too far forward, then his weapon just becomes a Silver Lance with +3 speed. If you want a really simple build, I'm going to suggest the classic Fury and Desperation setup. You can keep brazen tag and speed in the A slot, but it's only going to activate once Seteth gets into a fight, so it's up to you. You can use Swift Sparrow as a Sacred Seal to get that upfront stat boost. If you want to play more defensive and bait enemies to attack first, then I think Seteth could get away with Hell's default build of distant countering guard bearing. You could also use the new Rain C skills, which are excellent for Seteth, and of course Bond skills are also fine options if you're sticking your teammates. A Bond 4 or the new Unity type A skills would be excellent as well to deal with enemy debuffs. To take advantage of Spear of Assault's supportive capabilities, you really have a ton of skills depending on what Seteth's team consists of. If you have a Flyer team, then Flyer Formation, Flyer Guidance, Gold, Ward, Hone, and Fortify Flyers are on the table. If you want a more general support setup, you can upgrade from Drive Attack to a Joint Drive skill, which only boosts Seteth's stats further. You could double up on close or distant guard skills, and since Seteth already has a swap skill, I think a Link B skill is a great filler option. Reminder that Halloween Niles is an Infirma 10 common manual this month, and he comes with attack and speed link, so Seteth could give himself and an ally +10 attack and speed with Spear of Assault's in combat buffs. You could then outfit your C skill and Sacred Seal for additional buff support. Honestly, there's so many variations to choose from, and Seteth will be able to use a lot of different skills just fine. If you really just want to use his nice offensive stat line, he can always also just go with the good old Brave Lance and Farseer Lance builds. Moving on, we have Seteth's little sister, Flayn. Funny story I have about Flayn is that when I played the Black Eagles route with Edelgard as my first playthrough, I made Flayn my dancer because why not? Turns out in that route she leaves, so I lost my dancer on my first playthrough, which was pretty hilarious. Now in Fae, Flayn is going to be a flying healer. She has 40 HP, 39 attack, 27 speed, 21 defense, and 35 resistance. Most obvious thing to talk about is that ridiculous 39 base attack that is 3 points higher than the next highest healer, so Flayn is going to do some damage. She is a little slow, but it can be salvaged if you want to double slower threats. Her low defense is unsurprising, while her res is in a good spot to fight off a stray mage or two. Overall, very neat stat line, and it only gets better with her base kit. For old skills, Flayn is rocking the usual Dazzling Staff, no surprise there. She then also has Ground Orders, which gives a buff to non-flyers that then lets them warp to adjacent spaces next to an ally within 2 spaces. This skill is so dang annoying, and I always mention it tripping me up beneath the raids, which is why I put Brave Micaiah, who has Ground Orders, on my own defense team. It is one of the best mobility skills to mess with people in PvP. Speaking of PvP, we have Flayn's personal Caduceus staff. We do not have many unique staffs in the game, but my goodness, this one is something else. Caduceus staff will have built-in Wrathful staff, so Flayn takes full advantage of her 39 base attack. The staff then reduces damage from foes' attacks during combat to allies within 2 spaces by 30%. The year of percent base damage reduction just keeps giving, and now we straight up have a weapon that gives anyone 30% damage reduction during combat. Good lord. You know these monster tanks with like 50 defense and res? Well, now they can reduce incoming damage by 30% on top of that. Honestly, this skill kind of signifies to me that we're probably going to get more things like Deadeye in the future that can negate these damage reduction abilities, otherwise it's kind of ridiculous. Keep in mind that Caduceus staff only reduces damage during combat, so AoE specials will hit for their full amount beforehand. Also, percent base damage reduction does stack, but it is multiplicative, not additive. We've seen this from way back when you could use Brave Like with Deflect Magic, and he would reduce that second hit by 96%, which is pretty funny. For the most common scenario, if Flayn is going to be near a close call user who has their max 40% damage reduction, then with Caduceus staff the total damage reduced would be 58%. You don't add 40 plus 30 to get 70. Regardless of the math, this weapon is going to make Flayn a pain to deal with because there is only the range requirement, and if she's behind a whole team in Aether raids, well, you would expose yourself to the other 5 units if you need to take her out first. Ideally, you want to bait enemies out of her range, but any good defense is going to overlap attack ranges. As a last note, Caduceus staff doesn't give Flayn damage reduction herself, so if you can get an archer on her, well then she's going to go down very fast. Along with a unique staff, Flayn gives us a new healing assist skill, Rescue Plus. So for the healing portion of the skill, it's simply 50% of the user's attack stat with a minimum of 8 HP. However, afterwards it then applies the drawback assist skill. This is a first, as healers have an option for a movement assist skill, sort of. Keep in mind that like drawback, if either unit can't move to the designated spaces, then no movement is going to occur. Since Flayn is a flyer, she can't draw back a cavalier onto a forest tile, or she can't draw back an infantry unit over water. Rescue will actually count as a movement skill, so it can proc Link B skills, which I did test out since the story map has a case where this can happen. However, Rescue will not charge a healer special, which is super odd, and it won't grant XP or SP. I'm not sure why they added that, but if you're going to level up Flayn naturally, you may want to use another heal option. Now, I'm not sure if you can use Rescue on a full health target, similar to Restore being able to be used on debuffed allies. I don't think you can, since the story Flayn never did it when I tried to get it to work, but I don't have confirmation on that. I think it would be pretty OP if a healer could just use drawback flat out. Last new skill Flayn has is Deluge Bomb Plus. This Bomb Plus special grants +6 speed and res to all allies when the user heals a target. This is just another variant for these types of specials, but for Flayn specifically, since Rescue doesn't grant special charge, she's gonna have to attack or get hit to actually use it. Just gonna throw it out there, but if an infantry healer is using Rescue Plus, they could use Times Pulse to charge up these 1 cooldown bomb specials. Not exactly a cheap or efficient use of the rare Times Pulse skill, but it's an option. For builds, Flayn is pretty much ready to go since she has Wrathful and Dazzling Staff, plus Caduceus Staff does its job just fine. You can always swap Rescue out to something else like Restore or Recover, no issues there. If you want a cheap A skill for Flayn to get extra attack, then Attack and Res Push 3 is on Brady. Assuming you don't need Flayn to solo the whole map, then it's a cheap +5 extra attack and res when she does make a move. If you want to support your team within Caduceus Staff's area of effect, then any 2-space buffing skill is fine. Distant or Close Guard for extra defense and res is great, or you could add extra attack and speed with drives or tactic buffs. Again, the choice is really up to your team comp. Now, if you do want to increase Flayn's speed, she can reach some respectable speed values if you use premium skills. Tag and Speed Push 4 is the obvious A choice, although healers can use solo skills as well. Additionally, they can use bonds, so Flayn could use a Tag and Speed bond or the Speed and Res solo secret seal. If you just want some bonus attack, then there is the Attack and Res form skill from Zane on the Halloween banner. For C skills, while I really love ground orders, if you run a flyer team, obviously you're going to want to switch that out to something like air orders or just ward flyers and the other fly emblem buffs. Savage Blow is another fine option if you want to use a dancer and you want that little bit of extra chip damage. For your expensive speed stacking builds, Flayn can also use the new Rain C skills, so the eventual speed and res variant would be best. Overall, Flayn really just needs to stand there and not die to help any of her allies out. She can lay down the hurt with some big hit colorless damage, which is nice to have, and as a flying healer, her mobility options are superb. definitely would expect to see her in 8 through 8 teams, so I hope you like dealing with damage reduction. Our third unit is Thunder Catherine, the resident pre-promoted swordmaster for 3 houses. Catherine will be stepping into the ring for best speedy infantry sword unit, and she does bring a lot of firepower. For stats, Catherine has 43 HP, 39 attack, 41 speed, 30 defense, and 23 resistance. Super boons in attack and speed because of course, and if not for 1 point of speed, Catherine would have had the best base attack and speed spread among those fast sword users. She has 1 less speed than Fallen Lake and Marita, but 4 more attack, and Catherine is going to use that extra damage quite well. To be fair, I think she might be the fastest sword infantry unit if you include her weapon, but I didn't double check every unit, so don't quote me on that one. For old skills, nothing too surprising here. Catherine has Draconic Aura as her special, and then the potent Swiss Sparrow 3 and low speed and defense combo. The player phase power is already clearly there. Now we have Catherine's Hero's Relic, the Thunderbrand. This weapon is gonna be similar to Brave Lysethia's Dark Spike's Tome, but with a bunch of small differences. First off, it grants plus 3 speed, so Catherine's gonna naturally sit at 44 speed. At the start of combat, if the foe has more than 50% HP, 3 things are gonna happen. Catherine gets plus 5 attack and speed. She then neutralizes the effects that prevent her own follow-up attacks, and if she initiates combat, then she can make a follow-up attack before the foe can counterattack. So if you understand how Brave Lysethia works, Catherine is going to do nearly identical things. The differences are that Catherine can be at any HP percent, she only cares about fighting healthy enemies. They both get desperation effects, but Catherine gets the offensive part of no follow-up, while Lysethia makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. So because of how follow-ups work in this game, Lysethia's guaranteed follow-up basically cancels out 1 follow-up prevention skill from the enemy. Most units aren't running 2 or more of those effects, so Lysethia almost always gets to abuse desperation. With Catherine, she can cancel out as many number of follow-up preventing skills as necessary, which is nice for certain cases. However, Lysethia's free follow-up lets her double units faster than her unless they have an actual no follow-up skill, while Catherine must win the speed battle. Regardless, both of them are player phase monsters. Catherine's gonna make things super simple in terms of playstyle. You initiate against enemies with more than 50% HP, and if she outspeeds them, she attacks them twice in a row thanks to desperation. If you want to do some quick math with Thunderbrand and Swiss Sparrow, Catherine reaches 66 attack and 56 speed. Then you have to account for low speed and defense when it's in combat debuffs and neutralizing any speed or defense field buffs on the enemy. Catherine is going to hit very hard, and if you can't outspeed her, then she may not even let you hit back. If you're worried that something's going to match 59 speed, then you can always take the Swiss Sparrow's Sacred Seal and add any speed buffs you want. Otherwise, you don't really need to change anything here. You can make some adjustments like Flashing Blade to proc 2 cooldown specials on her second attack, and there is the possibility of Gale Force usage. You probably want Times Pulse or Infantry Pulse support since Thunderbrand does not accelerate specials. Now, for beast skills, I think low spin defense is probably one of the best options for pure 1v1 takedowns, since you can cancel out so much bonus stats on the enemy. You could use Special Spiral if you want a special proc or something like Wrath, but I wouldn't say it's necessary. Catherine could also probably run the Close Call family of skills just fine, but keep in mind she doesn't have full no follow-up on Thunderbrand. Enemies like my regular old Ephraim can still use guaranteed follow-up attacks to kill her in 2 hits. There are definitely other really good sword users for mixed phase close call type builds that are probably better choices, but for general content, I would say Catherine's gonna be okay. If you do go the mixed phase route, Catherine main said wants some solo skills. You could borrow Shamir's shiny new Rouse Attack and Speed C skill. Overall, Catherine is more on the player phase side of the speedy sword infantry group, but she is one scary initiator. Thunderbrand was a beefed up brave weapon in 3 houses, but they didn't go the quad attack route for Faye. That would have been fun too, since we don't have to worry about durability over here. Last on the list for today is Shamir. She's going to be a green infantry archer, and good lord, her stats are just insane. Shamir is going to have 41 HP, 40 attack, 40 speed, 25 defense, and 24 resistance. Basically almost matching Shinon's stats, although Shamir is going to have more attack while Shinon gets more speed. They are both incredible in terms of offensive stats, and Shamir gets a crazy 4 super boons and everything but HP. If you can get a +1 merge, chances are pretty high you're going to have a super boon somewhere in one of those stats. For skills, Shamir will have Moonbow, attack and speed solo 4 and no follow-up. Adding +7 attack and speed to a base 40 attack and base 40 speed is just kinda gross, but unsurprising at this point. Shamir is gonna get a unique weapon, the Survivalist Bow. This is a 42 bow that accelerates specials, and if Shamir is not adjacent to an ally, she gains +6 attack and speed, and if the enemy has more than 80% HP, they cannot counterattack. While Shinon's gonna be ready to fistfight with close counter, Shamir is practicing social distancing by not letting the enemy even hit her back. Survivalist Bow is a pseudo fire sweep bow, and with all that attack and speed, Shamir is one scary archer. Funnily enough, because you only get the fire sweep effect on foes with more than 80% HP, this won't counter advantage users. Shamir wants to one round assassinate her targets, and well, she can certainly do just that. Because we do not have enough attack and speed, Shamir also brings Rouse attack and speed 3, which I think is the last Rouse buff. If unit starts the turn alone, they get plus 6 attack and speed for 1 turn. Obviously this synergizes with Survivalist Bow's solo condition and attack and speed solo. This is a great skill for the pure offensive lone wolves, although there is that thought that solo units should also be able to fight for themselves, so extra defense and res is also helpful. We have a bunch of solo A skills and are getting more sacred seals, so you can mix and match stats to get what you want. Like Catherine, Shamir is pretty simple to understand. She's probably not going to be a close counter do-it-all type archer like Shinon, although you can build her with close counter. But with the Fire Sweep effect, Shamir can lay down her damage safely. With no follow-up equipped, she can also bypass follow-up prevention skills, and I don't think you need to change anything else since she just has 2 attack and speed increasing skills. For Sacred Seals, you can go to attack and defense solo or speed and res solo, and Swift Sparrow is a fine alternative too. Shamir can also run Flashing Heavy Blade to proc 3 cooldown specials in 2 hits because Survivalist Bow does accelerate specials. Speaking of which, this means Shamir can also use Shinon's Deadeye plus Times Pulse combo to get Deadeye on a 1 cooldown each player phase. She could also use Special Spiral instead, since that would pre-charge Deadeye after every single fight, and this is good to bypass any guard type effects. With the crazy 30% damage reduction for everyone thanks to Flayn, I think having Deadeye always charged up would be worth it. If you just want more basic attack damage, then low speed and defense is good too. No follow-up is indeed handy, but if the enemy doesn't have follow-up prevention skills, then it's kinda useless, and low speed and defense just increases damage output by a good amount. Overall, Shamir is set up to be one annoying archer unless she faces a red unit, and even then, if they don't have Null Sea Disrupt, then she can attack for free at least for 1 round, and that's always annoying to deal with. Man, with Brave Claude, Shinon, and Shamir now, the archers for this generation are starting off very scary. Throw in the new Deadeye special, and well, they seem to be doing good so far. That's going to be it for this banner, but we do have a Grand Hero battle for Nemesis coming up. He does have his Dark Creator sword, and he certainly has some interesting talking points. If you're going to be summoning, then I wish you good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next video.